Howdy YouTube, Xenix here with a video for you. So, I'm sitting in front of my newly acquired Dell Optiplex GX150. This is a Pentium III machine running at 1 gigahertz, and it has 384 megs of RAM, has a DVD-ROM drive, floppy drive, and the system came out in 2001, I believe, and it's running XP, as you can see, but the documentation for the system claims that it's compatible with a couple of other operating systems. Windows 2000, of course. What else? Oh, Red Hat 7.0, as well as SCO OpenServer. That's what we're going to be taking a look at today. So, if you don't already see the edge of the box, there it is. This is the media kit for SCO OpenServer Release 5, version 5.0.7. Now this kit was shipped in 2005. OpenServer 5.0.7 was released in 2003. It was refreshed in 2005, then again in 2006. The current company that owns OpenServer is Xenix. I think that's how it's pronounced. Xenux. They were the company that bought the remains from the bankruptcy sale of SCO back in 2010 or 11. Now, SCO OpenServer has been around since the mid-90s. And we'll get into a little bit of the history of it as we install this thing. So, bear with me while my voice is a little scratchy and congested, but we have our disk here. This is the base operating system installation CD. So we're going to put this in the drive. This is, for such an old machine, this is a very quiet running machine. Now, OpenServer is a commercial product, and it does require a license key. Now, for our purposes, we're only really looking at this for a little while. So, the evaluation licenses that come with the system, if we go into the info folder and we go into the license folder, let's open up this eval keys file. And you can see that they provide 60-day evaluation licenses. Now, from my little bit of reading online, the one to try is the Symmetric Multiprocessing Software 2 CPU license. So that's what we're going to give a shot for here. So, let's try it out. We can reboot our system. Now, supposedly, Dell did certify this machine for OpenServer. So all the hardware on the machine is stock. It does have the built-in 3-COM networking chip. It does have built-in sound and Intel video. And I believe I set it up to boot from CD. So let's go ahead and boot her up and see what we get. Now, this installation hopefully will go smoothly. Now, I printed out that evaluation key text file just so I have it with me for the installation. There's no way I was going to remember those. So let's hit enter to begin our installation. So enter to continue. We're going to accept the end user license agreement. We're going to install from CD-ROM on the secondary IDE controller, the master device. And we're going to select OK to continue. We're going to continue in US English. Now, let's go ahead and type in our evaluation license. It is case sensitive. So let's make sure we get everything correct here. So D60, I assume, is 60-day. Okay. Press enter to accept. Doesn't like that one. Let's try the one above it, the Enterprise System 5 user license. So eval ENT WERHOSZM and D60 K0 Q0 M9 SQ58G and accept. Okay, seem to like that one. So let's go with fresh install. Select OK to continue. So let's do that. Okay, system name is fine. Traditional. Not going to worry about the time zone here. So, standard enterprise system, okay. Lightweight character terminal, no. Database services, no. Okay. So, if the information is okay. Let's say OK and accept. Okay, the entire contents of the hard drive will be erased. Are you sure? Yes. Okay, network card, we're going to auto detect. Very good. Network address. Okay, deferred. Let's go with deferred. Video graphics, Visa SVGA. No mouse. We do have a mouse. And it's not a serial. What's the closest mouse to us? Probably IntelliMouse PS2. Okay. Root password. Okay, we can now proceed. Select OK. You know what? Let's take a look at some of the information I have for SCO. So this is all from Wikipedia. Hopefully it's accurate. So OpenServer, previously SCO Unix and SCO OpenDesktop, is an operating system developed by Santa Cruz Operation, later acquired by SCO Group, and now owned by Xenix. Early versions of OpenServer were based on Unix System 5, while later OpenServer 10 is based on FreeBSD. SCO Unix was the successor to the Santa Cruz Operations variant of Microsoft Xenix, derived from Unix System 5 Release 3.2, with an infusion of Xenix device drivers and utilities. SCO Unix System 5 386 Release 3.2.0 was released in 1989 as the commercial successor to SCO Xenix. The base operating system did not include TCP/IP networking or X-Window systems graphics. These were available as optional extra-cost add-on packages. Shortly after the release of this base OS, SCO shipped an integrated product under the name of SCO OpenDesktop. In 1994, the release of SCO MPX, an add-on SMP or symmetric multiprocessing package, was available. At the time, AT&T completed its merge of Xenix, BSD, SunOS, and Unix System 5 Release 3 features into Unix System 5 Release 4. SCO Unix remained based on System 5 Release 3, but eventually added homegrown versions of most of the features of Release 4. The 1992 releases of SCO Unix 3.2 v4.0 and OpenDesktop 2.0 added support for long file names and symbolic links. The next major version, OpenServer Release 5.0.0, released in 1995, added support for ELF executables and dynamically linked shared objects, and made many kernel structures dynamic. SCO OpenServer Release 5, released in 1995, would become SCO's primary product and serve as the basis for products like PizzaNet, the first internet-based food delivery system done in partnership with Pizza Hut, and SCO Global Access, an internet gateway server based on OpenDesktop Lite. Due to its large installed base, SCO OpenServer 5 continues to be actively maintained by SCO, with major updates having occurred as recently as 2018. SCO OpenServer 6, based on the merging of AT&T Unix System 5 Release 4.2 MP and Novell's Unixware 7, was initially released by the SCO Group in 2005. It includes support for large files, increased memory, and multi-threaded kernel or lightweight processes. This merged code base is referred to as Unix System 5 Release 5 and was used only by SCO for OpenServer 6. SVR 5 is not used by any other major developer or reseller. OpenServer 5 application and binary compatibility, OpenServer 5 system administration, and OpenServer 5 Unix environments were all merged into OpenServer 6, Unixware 7's SVR 5 kernel. OpenServer has primarily been sold into the small and medium business SMB market. It's widely used in small offices, point-of-sale systems, replicated sites, and back-office database server deployments. Prominent larger SCO OpenServer customers include McDonald's, Taco Bell, Big O Tires, Pizza Hut, Costco Pharmacy, NASDAQ, and the Toronto Stock Exchange, also the Banco de Brazil, and many banks in Russia and China, and the railway system of India. I don't know if that is all still current, though. Unixware merger. SCO purchased the right to distribute Unixware system and the System 5 Release 4 codebase from Novell in 1995. SCO was eventually able to reuse some code from that version of Unixware in later releases of OpenServer. Until Release 6, this came primarily in the compilation system and the UDI driver framework and the USB subsystem written to it. SCO announced on August 2, 2000 that it would sell its server software and services division, as well as Unixware and OpenServer technologies, to Caldera Systems, Inc. The purchase was completed in May 2001. The remaining part of the SCO company, the Trantella division, changed its name to Trantella Inc., while Caldera Systems became Caldera International, and subsequently, in 2002, the SCO Group. Under the SCO Group continued to develop and maintain OpenServer. They currently continue to maintain the now obsoleted 5.0.x branch, derived from the 3.2 v5 kernel, the most recent of which is 5.0.7. On June 22, 2005, OpenServer 6 was released, codenamed Legend, the first release in the new 6.0 branch. OpenServer 6 is based on the Unix System 5 Release 5 kernel, a merged codebase of Unix System 5 Release 4.2 NP and Unixware 7. Some improvements over OpenServer 5 include improved SMP support, support for up to 32 processors, support for files over 1 terabyte on a partition, better file system performance, and support for up to 64 gig of memory. OpenServer 6 maintains backward compatibility for application developed for Xenix 286 and onward. The SCO Group did go bankrupt in 2011. So the purchaser, Xenuas, back in 2011, known as Unix, purchased the rights to OpenServer as well as Unixware. In June 2015, Xenuas announced OpenServer 10, which is based on the FreeBSD operating system. Simultaneously, Xenuas introduced a migration path for existing customers using older OS products. In December 2015, Xenuas released definitive versions of OpenServer 5, OpenServer 6, and Unixware 7. In December 2017, Xenuas released definitive 2018 versions of OpenServer 6, Unixware 7. And in October 2018, OpenServer 5 definitive was released. The definitive 2018 releases were a commitment by Xenix to keep the legacy OSs updated. Definitive 2018 products contain major updates over the definitive releases and a soon-to-be-announced updated development kit, which will make it easier to compile current packages for the definitive 2018 products. Xenix has continued to provide updates for the new flagship OS OpenServer 10 and is working on a version 12 to be released in 2019. So that is the information from Wikipedia on OpenServer. Now, OpenServer Open Desktop was released in 1990. Open Desktop 2.0 was released in 92. Version 3.0 was released in 1994. Version 5 was released in 1995. Version 5.0.7 was released in 2003. Version 6 was released in 2005. And then the first definitive OpenServer 5 was released 2015. As I said, the second 2018. And that brings us up to the current day. Now, I was hoping after reading all of that, we would be well into the formatting of this hard drive. But that's going to take a long time. So let's take a little break. I will resume when we're done with the formatting. So we are finally past the checking for bad blocks. I forgot to I didn't even think to turn that off. I saw it. I think I even mentioned it, but that was a good 2.5, 3 hours of checking bad blocks on a 160 gig hard drive. Ouch, right? Well, I guess it's good that it was done. So now we're making our file systems, and hopefully we'll be on our way. Let's move this into the frame a little more so you actually get to see that. So I guess this would be the partitioning and formatting. We're almost done. Glad this didn't take as long as a bad block check. I am really curious to see what this is going to go like. So far, so good. This will turn out to be quite a long video. Sort of used to this with all operating systems. It's not just Windows. I used to think it was just Windows. But you get to the 100% mark, and then it seems to take forever after it's all done at 100%. Windows used to do this all the time. And then Linux. Linux was better, or I thought it was better at first. But it's about the same. Okay, preparing root file system, done. Extracting additional files from your media source, setting file permissions. Okay, installation of software from distribution media will now begin. Now we could be waiting here for a while. Let's see how quickly it starts moving. went from 0 to 5%, okay. It's only one CD, so I'm hoping it won't take that long to transfer the software. And I believe the size of the CD is only about 350 megabytes. That's compressed, of course. So it's uncompressing as it's installing. I'm tempted just to let this film through. I say that and then I get impatient and decide it's not worth taping a progress bar. But I don't know. I'm debating whether it's worth it just to document the whole process. I really didn't want to document the checking for bad blocks. That was a total waste of time. Probably could have just skipped that. Oh, went from 5 to 6. Ooh, big jump. It'll probably start moving quicker as it gets along. A lot of the times that's the way installations seem to go. They start off slow, build up to about 20%, and then just start jumping. We'll see what happens. So I assume after the installation process here, we're going to have configuration processes running. Okay, so we're at 9%. Now, I already read the entire Wikipedia article on OpenServer to you. I left out a few things, not too many. When I copy and pasted the Wikipedia article into a text file printed out, I wound up pruning it just slightly, just a couple of things I left out, but not much. I think I read quite a bit while we were waiting for the bad block check. See how long that might take. And it was obvious very quickly that that was not something the camera was going to be rolling and I was going to be talking through. I'd have no voice left if I even tried. Plus, who wants to watch 2.5 hours of a very, very slow progress bar? This is certainly taking a little longer than I expected as well. Look at that. We are starting to jump a little bit. It's moving. What did I tell you? It looked like the first 15% took a little while, and now it's just hopping along. That could slow down at any point. You never know. We'll just let it go. Now I'm very curious. The desktop we're going to get is going to be CDE, the Common Desktop Environment. And back in the late 90s, it became the standard for all of the commercial Unixes out there. It was, late 90s, I believe. Solaris switched over to it, I believe in 95, around 95. And OpenServer and Unixware switched over to it also in the mid-90s. And I believe it was also available on digital Unix's offering as well. Although I'm not so sure of that. I'd have to look into that. But it was, I believe it was the standard interface on AIX as well. Now SGI's IRIX went their own way. They went with a very customized MWM window manager based on the motif. It's a motif window manager, which had very similar style components to CDE. CDE took from the motif widget set basically. Now, I don't want to give away too much, but one reason I did buy this Dell Optiplex GX150, I wanted something from exactly this time period, Pentium III, that was corporate, and can't get too much more corporate than Dell. Well, you can, I guess. Compaq and IBM would have qualified as well. That hopefully we can also do Unixware in the future on this. We can do Solaris for Intel. That'd be three of the big Unix, commercial Unix operating systems. Now, I believe OpenServer, like Unixware, their file system it's either UFS, the Unix file system. Well, no, in Unixware it was VFS or VXFS, which was a Veritas journaling file system. Now, OpenServer did have a journaling file system. I believe it was, I forgot what it was called, but it was journaling on top of UFS, I believe. Okay, Java runtime environment getting installed. We're already up to 78% here. Looks like a whole bunch of drivers. Now it did recognize the network driver. I'm wondering why it's putting in all those other network drivers that are not the one that's being used. I guess if you swap out network cards, you might not have to go digging through the CD to get your network up and running. Well, we're getting there. I'm hoping we have a DHCP client running. I'd hate to have to try to fudge up the the TCP/IP settings. I'm really hoping it just uses DHCP to negotiate the network settings it needs. Not that I'm not too concerned, because trying to run any browser from this period and get online and do anything, I don't have any high hopes for that working too well. However, it would be nice if networking just worked. As I said, that's one reason why I chose to do OpenServer first on this hardware, because it was specifically listed as a compatible operating system. So, online documentation taking a long amount of time. There we go, finally moving again. Looks like a lot more drivers. We're already up in the mid 90% done. Okay, we should be done any moment now. It's taken a good 12 minutes, maybe 13 minutes. Looking back on it, that was probably pretty quick back in the day. Now it seems a little slow, but even now, a whole operating system in 20 minutes to be transferred to the hard drive, that's not too bad. Now, I'm not counting all the preparation steps, just the actual file transfer. So, performing post-install activities here, executing some scripts. And we'll probably be stuck at 99% for a little bit of time. Not at all surprising for that to happen. Ooh, jump to 100. Okay, installing patches. Now, this video will just, okay, look at that. Installation and initial configuration. Before you use the system, perform any additional configuration needed, as described in the Getting Started guide. Create an emergency boot floppy. Well, I'm not going to do any of that. We're just going to optional services. Press any key to reboot. Let's get this disk out of here so it doesn't reboot off the CD. Should be coming up, yeah, definitely coming up off the hard drive now. Control D. No, I don't need to enter new time. That looks fine to me. Okay, SCO login coming up. Ho ho ho, look at that. Now, we didn't create a user, so we got to log in as root. And here is our desktop. That does not look like CDE, does it? No. Wow, this is not CDE. This is pretty cool. Now, you know what? We're going to cut this video here. We got it installed and working. We're going to do more videos with SCO OpenServer now that it's running. But you know what? This video has been long enough. An install video is good to start, and it will let me read up on stuff before I start messing around. So I hope you enjoyed the video of installing OpenServer Release 5, version 5.0.7 on this old Dell. I will see you in another video. Bye-bye, folks.